Hi, and welcome to today's video where I will be doing a dance ranking of the 17 members. Wonwoo does not have a very good natural sense of rhythm, and he can often look disconnected from the music. Wonwoo usually reverts to a blank face when performing, and he doesn't use his head or eye line. This section will be short because I try not to spend that much time talking about weak dancers. Wonwoo is someone who still needs to work on his general physical strength in order to improve his dancing. He has a major issue with torso stiffness. Seungkwan has a good sense of rhythm, and he'll be able to build off of this once his technique improves. Seungkwan has good facial expressions, but they are quite inconsistent at the moment. Seungkwan actually fares pretty well as long as the choreography is not based in groove. He doesn't have any major issues with stiffness or coordination. His body control is weak, but it's relatively even. His isolations are his biggest problem. Seungkwan still doesn't really look like he has a dancer's body, and I think strengthening to fix some general alignment issues would help his technique overall. I don't have much to say about DK's musicality. It's not noticeably good, but he doesn't fall off time that frequently either. DK has versatile facial expressions, if a little inconsistent. DK's biggest issues are his poor lines and angles. His shape is prone to becoming constrained and awkward. He's pretty stiff through his torso and hips. Another notable problem DK faces is that he tends to execute every step with the same quality, causing one movement to blur together with the next. Especially since he is not a groovy dancer, his underdeveloped isolations and locks mean there's no texture to his dancing. Joshua has a surprisingly good natural sense of rhythm. Despite the fact that he's not really a groovy dancer, his body understands momentum very well. Joshua has pretty good facial expressions, and he's surprisingly comfortable using his head in dancing. Generally speaking, dancers without strong technique lock their head forward to try to focus. Joshua has an easy quality to his movements. Although his technique is not that good, he puts enough energy into the steps that he can keep up with the choreography. Joshua is a very messy dancer, and his lines are quite inconsistent. One phrase he'll be moving fine, and the next he's standing stick straight. Mingyu generally has very good timing, and I never see him rush. Sometimes, it looks like he's a bit late compared to the other members, but I'm guessing that's due to how much longer it takes for him to get from point A to point B compared to someone shorter. I think he could be a bit more creative with his facial expressions, but he's consistent with his presence. Mingyu shows the beginnings of good fluidity, and he'll be able to expand on that once his coordination improves. He has good angles, especially in his legs. His locks are still weak. Mingyu's body control in general isn't that well developed. However, considering how tall he is, it's pretty impressive that he manages not to look awkward despite his level of technique. Jeonghan's timing sometimes gets a little fuzzy, but he overall has a decent sense of rhythm. Jeonghan has a good awareness of how to use his head and eye line, and his facial expressions are fairly consistent. There isn't much distinct about Jeonghan's dancing, but he has surprisingly good isolations and locks at times. Jeonghan is not a hip-hop based dancer, and this can cause him some minor coordination issues. His biggest problem is the lack of control over his footwork. He tends to lack clarity in his legs and leave steps unfinished. He also has a habit of overusing his shoulders. First of all, I totally understand the temptation. You find out that you can hit your shoulders to create a popping effect without actually being able to pop, and you want to keep using it because it looks cool. It's not inherently incorrect, and it can improve the look of certain steps. However, you have to use it in moderation or your body control will start to look messy. Jeonghan's musicality is affected by a tendency to rush. Jeonghan can sometimes end up reverting to a blank face while performing, and his expressions occasionally look a little awkward to me. Jeonghan is a very powerful dancer. He has good body locks and is relatively clean. While I couldn't find an official article proving this, I've heard that Jeonghan suffered a spine injury doing martial arts as a child. Unfortunately, this has significantly affected his posture and alignment. He has major issues with stiffness through his shoulders, torso, and hips, causing him to struggle with isolations. He also has difficulty executing footwork full out, likely due to restricted mobility in his pelvis.